For most patients, a basic shade is selected and the restoration cemented is aesthetically blended with the surrounding natural dentition. There are, however, times that a fabricated restoration is too bright, requires additional surface characterization and/or staining to make the restoration look like the patient's surrounding natural dentition. This chapter will cover some of the basic staining techniques used to modify restorations when needed. The steps are very straightforward, and with a little practice, most restorations can be customized with stains to enhance their look. Due to the delicate nature of a ceramic restoration and the possibility of dropping a crown during the glaze and staining procedure, it is highly recommended to use a ceramic forceps to hold the crown. This is easily achieved by inserting the tips inside the crown, and then tighten by adjusting the thumb screw so that the restoration can be turned upside down without the crown falling off. It is important not to over-tighten the forceps. Glaze and stain powders should always be mixed a minimum of 2 hours prior to use, and must be mixed thoroughly with their respective liquid. This allows proper saturation of the frit particles and helps create an ideal homogeneous mixture. Stains and glaze powders should be mixed on a hard tray, such as a glass slab or a ceramic stain palette, so that the powder frit can be spatulated completely. A plastic or glass mixing instrument is ideal to use for mixing. Accent stains are mixed with stain fluid until no visible chunks are observed. The mix should be smooth with a viscosity that makes the stains the proper consistency to pick up with a brush tip, but can be applied onto a restoration without running. Accent stains are available in 20 different colors, ranging from yellows to dark browns and variations of blues, greens, and reds. Each stain color can be used individually or mixed with one or more stains to make a color blend. So the characterization and color modification of individual crowns is very achievable. Accent glaze is also mixed thoroughly with stain fluid. This mixture has a milky appearance, but when brushed onto a restoration using thin amounts, it fires clear and transparent. Glaze is mixed to have an ideal consistency and viscosity similar to honey, so that the brush will pull the glaze up from the tray 5 to 10 millimeters. One of the most common needs of stains is to lower the value of a bright restoration. Sometimes it is possible to add stain to a dry restoration, but the stains tend to puddle. So your first step is to lightly glaze the restoration with glaze. Use a clean number 0 or number 2 brush and saturate the brush tip with glaze. Application is very similar to painting a wall. Apply glaze to the surface using a light stroking motion. You want to apply the glaze in an incisal cervical direction. After the restoration has been wetted, you want to use a stain color that will lower the value but not dramatically change the shade. Many different accent stains are available, but the primary stain color suitable for lowering the value is a bluish or violet stain. Accent number 17 is called Niagara and has a color tone that can help lower or reduce the value when applied correctly. Using small amounts, apply by brushing the stain to the incisal occlusal third of the crown. Use stroking motions so not to allow the stain to puddle. Apply as needed to achieve value. After the desired stain effects have been applied and you are happy with the results, the restoration is ready for furnace firing. Sometimes it may be difficult to transfer the restoration from your ceramic forceps to the furnace without dropping or touching the crown with fingers. Either problem can effectively mitigate the time and effort spent to glaze and stain the restoration. Debris from the table or oils from the fingers may also affect the restoration, so one of the cleanest methods requires the appropriate furnace accessories. First, to help stabilize a ceramic restoration onto a firing pin, the use of a firing material like quick peg is highly recommended. Squirt the quick peg material into the crown and fill the intaglio halfway. While holding the crown with cotton tweezers, carefully loosen the crown forceps until you can pick up the restoration with the tweezers. Carefully transfer and place the restoration onto a firing tray or pin. Using a highly accurate and well-maintained furnace is always recommended for stain and glaze firing. A furnace that is out of firing calibration as little as 20 degrees Celsius can change the appearance of the restoration. Vita furnaces have self-calibration features that help ensure accurate firing temperatures. The fired restoration is allowed to cool on the furnace platform for at least 30 seconds or until any red glow dissipates. Remember to always use furnace tongs, hemostats, or tweezers when placing or removing a firing tray from a glazing furnace. After firing the restoration, you should see a gray appearance to the restoration. The results of using a blue or violet stain in effect lower the values by toning down the brightness. This is noticeable when you compare the stained restoration on the left to a glazed-only restoration of the same shade and value shown on the right. The amount of this type of stain applied will correlate to the amount of decreased value needed. However, using too much blue-violet stain will also reduce the amount of chroma and possibly change the hue of your restoration, so only use the amount of stain necessary to achieve the aesthetic value. Another common use of stains is to create and mimic natural occurring calcification spots. This is often true when trying to match a single ceramic restoration that needs to blend into the surrounding dentition. Again, start out by applying a thin layer of glaze to the restoration. Calcification spots usually have a whitish look and can be duplicated using accent stain number 1, a birch or white-colored stain. Because of the intensity of a white stain, apply a small amount at a time. Calcification areas are often halo or spotty shaped. Apply stain with the tip of the brush in a stabbing motion. If you don't like what you see, steam clean the crown and start over. Make sure that you always use a clean brush. After the desired stain effects have been applied and you are happy with the results, the restoration is ready for furnace firing. Sometimes it may be difficult to transfer the restoration from your ceramic forceps to the furnace without dropping or touching the crown with your fingers, so use the appropriate furnace accessories. Carefully transfer the restoration onto a firing tray and place on firing platform. Use the appropriate manufacturer's firing cycle for staining to assure an ideal surface look. After the crown is fired, you can inspect the results and determine if calcification spots will blend in naturally. As you can see from the fired crown, the white effect can be very concentrated. By using a small thin brush, delicate and subtle nuances can be applied for any desired effect. If the appearance is incorrect, either add additional white stain or carefully sandblast the stain off. Clean the crown and start over with a clean brush. Another type of characterization is to replicate a crack in a tooth. Often referred to as a craze line, adding this effect to the facial of an anterior restoration is delicate but very achievable. As always, lightly glaze the restoration with a small number 0 brush. Craze lines and/or tobacco stains are observed as very thin and almost intrinsic. It is always desirable to duplicate a craze line when the restoration is being layered to achieve the optimum effect. However, a craze line can be added by using extrinsic stains and have a natural look. Numerous accent colors are suitable for this purpose. Select an appropriate stain color and use the tip of the brush. Draw the stain down in the area to replicate a crack. After the desired effect has been achieved, fire the restoration using the appropriate firing cycle. A variety of natural occurring characterization effects, shading, and colors require replicating on individual restorations. We have only explored some of the most common. No matter what the effect is you are trying to simulate, the quick application of stains is highly achievable and can be the noticeable difference in achieving natural aesthetics.